Welcome to Digital Marketing that puts people first, brought to you by the Online Co, where we believe the best way to help small and medium businesses grow is to do exactly that, put people first. I'm James Parnwell, and in this episode we want to talk about possibly the most important part of any marketing effort, and that is understanding your customers. If you want to grow your business, you first of all need to go deep in understanding who your customers are, what their problems are, and how your product or service is going to solve that problem. The better you know this, the better your marketing will be. Have you ever tried to do some marketing and get some leads? Did it not work out so well? One of the most common reasons is that your marketing didn't resonate with actual humans. So don't go looking for leads, go looking for people that you can genuinely help with a fair exchange of trade. This is where our tagline of digital marketing that puts people first comes in. Marketing is a people business first. The technology comes second. And we should never forget that. So I'm joined by my co-host, Jess Caluso. G'day, Jess.
Hey, James. I love that point you just made, that marketing is a people business first. That's brilliant.
Yeah, well, it's true. And I think in our tech day and age,
It is.
we think it's all about posting this and analytics that and clicks this and, WordPress that and
That's it.
on it goes, HTML.
We forget about people sometimes.
Well, get so deep in the weeds, forget it. Hey, there's actually a human looking at our website.
That's right,
yeah.
Today's episode, the first question we should ask is about icky marketing. If we're trying to understand our customers, I'd like to know what examples of icky marketing you've seen, James. You've been marketing for a while. There's got to be some marketing you've seen that hasn't really understood their customer, and it's looked a bit off.
Good marketing resonates with you, but it makes you feel right, and it's encouraging, and it's resonating, and it's
comfortable.
Yeah, it's comfortable, and there's marketing that doesn't do that. And the typical thing is the whole asking for business straight away, like buy now, sale ends now, 20% off store-wide, ends on Sunday. This sort of
I feel like you have to say it like
push.
This, buy now.
Yeah, right.
It's that guy screaming with the microphone.
You feel like you're getting yelled at. There were these hilarious TV ads, I think in the 80s or 90s. These father and son were selling carpet, and the son would be talking about the different types of carpet they had and this and that, and the father would be like, but tell him the price, son. He kept interrupting him. Tell him the price, son. It's like,
yes.
Oh.
Yeah, that was an annoying ad.
It was annoying, and it
was annoying. I definitely didn't feel comfortable.
You didn't enjoy it, yeah. So
didn't enjoy watching that ad.
Most of us don't want to do that. Now, if you are a fast-moving consumer good, or you're selling TVs like Harvey Norman, or you're doing something like that, then maybe that works, and maybe that's your shtick, and you want to be annoying. Like if you're an annoying person, maybe you should be annoying, mate.
Is that the first question? The first thing? Ask yourself, am I an annoying person?
No, if you want in-your-face marketing, then go for it. You do who you resonate with. I just think for most people, it's like, I don't really want to be shouting at people. I don't like being shouted at myself, and I'm going to do unto others as I would have them do to myself, and let's give that a miss. We call that sort of marketing proposing marriage on the first date. It's like
it's a bit forward.
Yeah, you've sat down, you've had a glass of wine, and you're on train. And it's, will you marry me? It's like, I'm out. Like this feels icky.
I got to go. Yeah.
What's worse is if they say yes. It's like, oh gosh.
That's a whole nother podcast episode.
But I guess there is an analogy there that if you are doing shouting marketing, do you get the quality of customer that you want? Are you filling your lead pipeline up with maybe very price sensitive, haggling people who are going to drive your margins down?
Yeah, and I'm sure there's a place for that type of marketing, but for majority of people, like the 99% vast majority of people,
don't want that.
No, it's not suitable.
No.
Well, I guess we should get into what you should do, what type of marketing you should be doing, and the best ways to understand your customer. So we've got sort of 6 steps today, or 6 points in how to effectively understand your customer. The first point that we've got is your story theory. I'd like for you to unpack this
Yeah,
because we've
great.
got a couple of points around this.
So this comes from Story Brand. There's a book written by Donald Miller. Story Brand is a whole process of developing this. So I want to give them the credit for innovating this. But the idea
Yeah, absolutely.
is that marketing should follow a story arc. We as humans have been telling each other stories since the dawn of time. You know, cavemen sitting around the fire telling stories about what happened during the day. So we're hardwired for story. And a story contains 4 basic elements. There's always a hero.
Mm-hmm.
That hero is living their life, doing whatever it is they do. Something goes wrong. And then the rest of the movie or the rest of the book is about resolving that problem so that we can get to a happy ending. So the cavemen are sitting there and they've got their family or their tribe they need to feed, and they're out hunting a mammoth and something goes wrong, and then obviously they're sitting there telling a story, so they're able to say how they got out of their pickle. That's the type of idea. So every movie you will have ever watched will follow roughly that sort of script. So Hunger Games, you've got Katniss is the hero. She's living in District 12. Sorry if you haven't seen it. I'll try not to give away any spoilers.
Or you watch different genres of movies like
right.
does.
Well, the Hunger Games is kind of quintessential. It very fulfills this very clearly. She then gets thrown into the Hunger Games, and will she live or will she die? That's her problem. And the resolution, I'm not going to give it away. You need to watch the movie yourself.
Oh, come on. I'm on the edge of my seat.
So let me give you an example. In a business example, right? So we'll start with a dentist, right? The dentist is the hero. And the dentist is working late one day. He's had a very big day full of teeth. He's seen lots of teeth that day, and he's tired. He gets ready to go home. He gets in the car. It's driving rain. He's driving home. The roads are slippery, and pulls into the garage at home. Gets out of the car, goes into the kitchen, and the back door's open. And the rain's driving in, and there's a glass of wine smashed on the floor with wine everywhere, and his wife's missing. Right,
so we need to insert really, what's that music? Like some really good music at this point.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So we've got a hero. We've got the basics around their life. You know, he's married and he's got a business and he works hard and he's tired. You got some basics. And we've got a problem. His wife, it's not looking good. Now, if we continue the rest of that movie, it's all about him going and figuring out where his wife's gone. So that's story theory. So that's point 1. I hope you get that idea. I want to apply it to business now. We're not just here telling stories. We're talking about business. And the very first thing to understand is that the hero is never you, the marketer. The hero is always your customer. They need to be the center of your story. This is a very easy mistake to make, and you can make it subconsciously at every turn. Talking about yourself. And you need to talk about yourself a little bit. You need to demonstrate your authority. But if it's a bit like putting salt on your meal, too much salt and you wreck the meal. Too much of yourself and you wreck the story.
Absolutely.
Now, the hero has a business or has a problem, and they have a story, they have a life, and then within that life or their business, they're going to have a problem, and then it's your job to bring a resolution to that. So I'll give you a business story. This is one that we dealt with. The hero is a chiropractor that came to us for some help. This is not an actual story. I've actually mixed different stories together to get this one. So it's not all the bits true, but they're a bit separate. This chiropractor works with a senior partner. So there's 2 business owners in this case. Mm-hmm. The senior partner wants to retire, and the junior partner wants to buy the business out from the senior partner. So they've organised this transition. So that's the story. But they have 50% vacancy on their bookings. So they have loads of capacity and their billing hours are down year on year. That's the problem. Hero story problem. A resolution. They come to us and this is where we get to help them. So they do a playbook. They implement a solid multi-point marketing campaign. They grow their bookings back up till it's full. His business partner is able to retire. He buys him out.
Okay.
And we've resolved the story with a happy ending.
Yeah.
Now, that's a story of our customer. Your story of your customer is going to be completely different depending on the business and industry you're in.
So that's a good lead in to our next point, right? So you've just built up this story and explained it to our listeners, but with our playbook process, we actually take that story. We actually write a story down. So often in when you're doing marketing strategies and things like that, you'll just do a persona, a client persona.
Yes.
We're targeting males aged between 30 and 45, and they live in northwest Sydney, and that's so on and so forth. We do that. We take it a step further than that. But also what we do is write the story out so that our customers get a really clear idea of who their customer is and the story of their customer. So we've got an example actually that we can share. So if you remember way back in I think it was episode 3 of the podcast, James, you interviewed, actually you interviewed the whole team. There was Amy and Evan. And it was Alex and Natalie. Yep. Nat. Had to go back in the memory bank there.
Yeah, it's been a year or so.
Yeah, it's been a while. So they've got a plumbing business, a commercial plumbing business, and we did a playbook process with them. Yeah. So we went, and part of that process we went and did their customer story. Did you want to share the story, James?
Yeah, I think so. And for you, when you do this, and I'd recommend doing this, it's not a huge process, it's an important process. And when we talk to our clients about getting a story, we will ask them to describe their favorite customer, somebody who they love working with, who pays on time, who's the right size, and if you could have another 20 or another 100 or another 1,000 of those customers, like life would be amazing. Business would be awesome. Obviously, there's customers that don't fit that model, right? There's difficult customers. There's late payers. There's the whiners and the whingers. There's a spectrum. But if you're going to write your story, you write it about the ideal, the perfect.
Yeah, pick the number one.
That's right. So Amy and Evan and Alex and Nat have been wonderful clients of ours for a long time, 5 years or so. So they were the people that we picked. We actually have a few, but we picked these guys and then wrote their story. So we're going to meet Amy and Evan. Together, Amy and Evan have spent their lives building a plumbing and draining business which focuses on hard work, good quality, and good customer service. They have 3 kids together, have grown their business to over 70 staff. They love the work they do, but to say they are busy is an understatement. And although Amy is actually trained in marketing, it often tends to be an afterthought rather than a core part of their business. Although they get a lot of repeat business and have the basics covered like a website and socials, the new leads are coming through slowly. Knowing James and April, that's my wife and I, and she's my wife and my business partner, through school connections, Evan saw a post of James offering a free SEO review and decided to take him up on the offer in the hope they could nail down some of the issues in not getting many of the new leads. After the review came back with quite a few errors, Evan and Amy decided to sit down with James and April for a wider conversation about their marketing. They took a month to complete a digital marketing playbook, which recommended they also do SEO, Facebook pay-per-click, Google Ads, and Facebook and Instagram social posting. 5 years on, and Limcora has now become a market leader, smashing their competition with their strong online presence. And they do. They have all the bases covered now and are getting a consistent stream of good, strong new leads. Amy and Evan both now have time to focus on their business and growing it, not worried about the detailed and technical aspects of their marketing. Knowing that the digital marketing partners, the Online Co, has them covered.
That's just a brilliant example.
Yeah. So the
right?
heroes,
We've got the heroes.
Amy and Evan, they're living their life. They
We
have
know
a
their
problem,
life. We know their problem.
and it's
And
resolved.
we have the resolution. Yeah. It's such a good example. I never get bored of these.
No.
They're-
So it's specific. It's a single example. And so what you can do once you've written that is that every time you go and post on social media, you can post it to Amy or to Evan or both
yeah,
of them.
to Amy and Evan. You're thinking about them. You
Right.
know them in detail.
A
You know about
person.
their life. Yeah, you know who they are.
How do you get digital marketing that puts people first? You got to think of a person.
Yeah, put a person first.
Writing a blog, write it to Amy and Evan. Writing emails, write it to Amy and Evan. So that's how we do our marketing. We want to talk to these people. And so this podcast is designed to talk to people like Amy and Evan about their marketing and about how they can improve what they're doing.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I'm glad that we could share that, like, and give a real practical example to our listeners of, like, we're saying, you need to write a story, but this is how we write our stories.
That's an actual story that we wrote.
That's an actual story and an actual playbook that we've done.
So point 4, Jess, I actually jumped the gun. It's about choosing your actual customer that's the right size, that's good to work with, and if you could have another 100 of them, your business would be awesome. So you need to think that through. And we just got a list of our clients and went, they're awesome, they're awesome, they're awesome. And then picked one and then told their story. Then you have real clarity around what people are going through.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, with point 4 then, so now we've picked that person and we've written the story. There's a couple of other things we need to, like, just that we mentioned before, just that sort of regular persona sort of stuff. There is a place for that, and we do need to write that down and acknowledge those things, because there is a bit more that we can put into the story of the customer. And I guess we just want to unpack those a little bit in this next point. So what are those other questions that we want to ask in our regular persona?
Yeah.
What do they look like? So I guess, you want to start with your gender and age. That's always helpful.
Yep.
And occupation. So are they the business owners? Are they a marketing manager? Like, this is in our case.
Yeah.
Obviously for our listeners, it'll be dependent on who your customer is.
Can I just back you up there, Jess? We're talking about a persona here, which is the traditional method of identifying a customer. Yep. If you go and at uni, they taught us about this. If you go and do a certificate level marketing, or you do even school level, they might talk about the persona.
Yeah.
The persona's purpose is to draw a really large, vague, fuzzy, inclusive picture to try and gather everybody. Now, this is a good thing, right? We want to try and market everybody. We don't want to be excluding people. Obviously, we exclude people who are not interested in our product or service. But we want to try and gather everybody that is and make all of them as welcome as possible. And to do this, you need to be vague. In the previous example, we're very specific. In this answer, we're being non-specific and describing a group.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, that was a good point to back up on. So I should have said that before we started.
Yeah, so then gender and age becomes useful. So is it females between 25 and 40, or is it
40? That's it. Yeah,
males between 18 and 24? All that. Yeah, where their location, occupation, their relationship status, all of those things can become useful. Sometimes not at all. Sometimes it's every age or every relationship status. It's not relevant, but sometimes you want to pin down. Yeah. So if you're selling baby equipment, then like stage of life, you do have an age level.
Absolutely.
And you're talking to people in a specific relationship status or family status who have kids. And so there's certain things that are relevant to rule in there.
For them. Yeah, absolutely. So there's some other things that we normally include in our big picture personas. So a really good one to think about is, what are people's pain points? So what is the problem that they have, and what would drive them to want to make a purchase, and what are their barriers to purchase, or what are their barriers in general in terms of seeking out your business. So that might be, for some businesses, that might be a little bit hard. Like you might be a bit too involved, like too deep in the business to be able to put yourself in the customer's shoes to think about that.
Mm.
What would you suggest in that case, James, that people do to try and get that sort of outside perspective? Should they be maybe doing like some customer like questionnaires or getting some feedback, or
Yeah, I think it can even be less formal than that. You're having a chat to your customers,
just have a
just
chat
get
to a
them on
few
the
people?
phone. Hey, what was the
Yeah.
problem? What's that sort of stuff.
Mm.
It can be so helpful, and when we've done it, people are usually so positive,
Yeah.
and it's encouraging. And you even get testimonials out of it. But your thoughtful customers will give you really good feedback and go, and things like that can really improve your business and change your business.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple other things that we would include generally with our personas. So, what are people's motivations to buy, and what do they want, and what do they not want?
Yeah,
I think it's important to look at both sides of the coin. There, who are their key influences is another thing to have a think about.
yeah,
So, in the case of your example of somebody who's got a business selling baby products, their influences might be their family, it
mm,
might be their friends, it might be their mother's group or their GP. Like there's a lot of people like that you'd have to think about. You also want to have a think about what opportunities there might be
yeah,
for that person. And then this one is a little bit more SEO focused, but it's helpful as an overall perspective. What keywords would they use when they're searching
yeah,
for your business?
yeah. So there's a bunch of questions there. You kind
There's
of
a lot of
throw
questions.
them at you, yeah, and some of them are more relevant than others depending on your business. But
Absolutely, yeah. They're generally sort of things that we would cover in that persona that's an overarching sort of view, big picture view of who your ideal customer is.
yeah. Now, last point is point 6. We actually want to combine the big picture, the persona, and the little picture, the story, for maximum effectiveness. Standing alone, both of these ideas have some weaknesses. The problem
Mm,
with this individual story is it's just one person, so you're potentially not reaching everybody, and you might cut some people out in the process. The problem with the persona is it's so broad and non-specific. It's very hard to talk to a persona.
mm,
They're not people. They're ideas. It's hard to communicate to an idea. So when you combine the two, that's when they get really powerful. So
absolutely. You sort of
this
get the best of both worlds then, don't you?
Yeah, you get the detailed picture and the big picture, and yeah,
And
and you can sort of go out and in, and then
yeah,
the different tactics will use them differently. So
differently.
the
Absolutely, yeah.
persona will be heavily used by Google Ads and Facebook pay per click. So the targeting will be there, a broader messaging will be there, pain points and things. But the story will be used for writing blogs, posting social content, LinkedIn messaging. Um, and there's crossover, of course, and not exclusively, but you'll use both of them. So you want to combine them wherever you can and make sure you're effectively speaking to people as well as appealing to the broad market and not leaving anyone out. It's both and, not either or.
Yeah, absolutely. I know when we're doing, like when we're setting up, say, as an example, Facebook campaigns, Facebook PPC campaigns for clients, I'm going back to our playbook and
Yeah,
I'm reading through the story and I'm reading through the persona again to get both sides. So to get that real big picture and to get that sort of targeted picture as well. And it just makes it so much easier when you need to figure out, okay, who am I going to target in this ad? And how am I going to write the copy for this ad and make sure I'm speaking to, in the example we gave earlier, Amy and Evan. So I want to speak to Amy and Evan, but I also want to make sure that my overall targeting is hitting them
yeah, yeah,
as well. It's so helpful. Like I just so many turns you can go back to this. Like you can keep referencing back to your story
yeah,
and your persona in all the marketing that you do,
yeah,
just to make sure that you're on the right track and you are continually trying to focus and hit the right person with your marketing.
Yeah, it's so helpful. So to those of you who are listening, this is our process for getting customer focused. And if there was one thing in marketing you want to get right, it's this.
It's
Get this wrong and
understanding your
everything
customer.
everything goes wrong if you get this wrong. But get this right, then you kind of got your true north and you're headed in the right direction. And you can optimize from there.
Absolutely.
So, if you found today's episode informative and would like to take some next steps, we'd love to help you with our digital marketing playbook. It's our premier planning process. We've developed it over 10 years to put together robust and holistic digital marketing strategies that can actually help you grow. So just Google the Online Co and you can click the book a quick chat button. It's a red button on the website and we'd love to have a chat with you. Speak to you how we can help you best. Well, thank you, Jess.
Thank you, James. That was good. That was a good episode.
Yeah. Well, this episode of Digital Marketing Puts People First was brought to you by The Online Co. The production and music was by Harry Parnwell. You can find us at theonlineco.net. If this has been helpful for you, please feel free to share it with friends or people that you might feel get benefit from it. We'd love you to subscribe to us and leave us a review.